Memes on the Discord. Here we go. First of all, we have a GG. He has created Portugal, conquered Brazil, most of Africa, the UK. Impressive. The United States of America, taking out Mexico. The one true dream of every Mexican. Technically, we need music that's copyright free, don't we? Copyright free music. Actually, it's not going to work with the memes either, is it? Anyway, here we go. Video time. Video time. Oh, you know the music's going to be funny.
Oh, hell no! I'm joking! What the fuck is that?
One eternity later.
Huh?
No! Don't do it! I'm a virgin!
Let's do this.
Okay, I laugh. Okay.
Are you winning, Watson?
Yes.
It got a bit weird at the end. The anime stuff really worried me. Up to this point, it was actually pretty funny, and then we got really anime weeb shit. I got a bit scared for a second. Has this game sponsored you yet? What, World of Tanks? They did message me a while back, and I gave them a price for a sponsorship, and then they never messaged me back. I guess the price was too high. Just wasted a minute of my life. We have the Soviet Union invading Turkey, I think. Will you play the end of the beginning? Not really, because it's a dialogue-based mod and I'm dyslexic, so... Oh, I posted this. This is so true. You'll hear me mispronounce... Will you play the end of the beginning mod? Not really, because it's a dialogue-based mod and I'm dyslexic, so you'll hear me mispronounce 1,000 names wrong and speak like a 10-year-old. So... No. True. True. Very true.
Buckingham Palace has announced the death of His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh.
Okay, I have a serious question. Is the reason why they didn't end the song, is it because it's continuous dance beats and there never is a gap? Is that the idea? Is that why they didn't choose to just wait until the end of the song?
Buckingham Palace has announced the death of His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh.
Because it seems really inappropriate to, drop down the volume just to announce that. Especially when it's a funky beat as well. I try to think of really inappropriate music. Happy music. They could have stopped the song. They could have.
Marking a celebration. Advertising. Available with a subscription to Envato.
Excuse me.
Track that'll be perfect. It's a great and infectious. It features a friendly combination of bright instruments, including designed to tug warm synth line, ukulele line, command. So for them, we.
I'm just trying to think of a goofy song that would be played, and they would announce he died, and then they continue to play that really goofy song. I don't know. Anyway. Oh, another clip by me.
And I caught myself. Make it to tomorrow.
All right, okay.
My friend might have been banished. My forgotten. forgotten. The bosses would do terrible things to me. Terrible things to me if me going back there.
You hear that?
Do you hear that? That's the sound of your career dying. Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna laugh at my own joke. I'm not gonna do that. I promise. I promise. Okay. So what we got? We got basically a Renaissance painting, the cat and the cheeseburger. You know what really makes me really sad deep down inside? 9,000 votes, and we have 52% for girlfriend free DLC. This is like the, I can't think of the term. It's the ultimate number, the death number, the sign of the devil, 52 to 48, because it's the same numbers for the Brexit referendum. And everyone joked ever since Brexit, the referendum, everyone keeps seeing 48, 52 everywhere. Oh, man, it really makes me very sad. It makes me very sad to see this. People would literally choose a life. Hang on, I'm getting the right. Yeah, they would choose a life before a DLC. Yeah, fucking hell. Honestly. I think it just reflects the age of the audience, that, doesn't it? And the Death Flame reincarnated would like to return as a deadly virus to contribute something to solving overpopulation. I keep seeing this. Did he actually say this, or is this a joke? I don't fucking know. Mr. Beast. Man, Mr. Beast. It's not the way I remember him. You know, one thing I will say, when I was younger and I had a really slow computer, I never really cared about FPS. I did think it was kind of strange that when I pressed the button on the game that everything responded a lot slower compared to other games. But one thing I realized is that I didn't know how good you can get it until I had it good. And then at that point, you could never go back. So I can imagine there's a kid at some point. He's got a really rich parent. He buys him like a cool-ass fucking god-tier gaming rig. And then at some point in their life, maybe, I don't know, they don't have as much money and they can't upgrade anymore. And then suddenly they have to upgrade the computer, but they can't afford it. And they have to deal with like 10 FPS from playing Call of Duty. Holy shit, that'd be terrible. But that's the truth is, anyway, the summary of the story is you don't know how good you've got it until you've got it. Was that a good moral of the story? Yeah. What made you suddenly lose interest in someone you were pursuing? When I found out they looked like me back, not interested in someone with a poor judgment. True.
In 1939, a wave of fire sweeps across the whole world. War is more brutal, more bloody, more devastating than man has ever known. Meanwhile, in Sweden,
Kalle, 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 Kalle. Olle, 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 titta, titta, Olle, Olle.
You know, one thing that fascinates me about Sweden in World War II is I literally don't know anything about the history of that country during that period. I have no idea what was happening in Sweden at World War II's time. So, do you know what? If PDX, which they will at some point, release a national focus for Sweden, I'm actually going to be really fascinated and hyped for it because I really want to know what actually historically happened in Sweden at that time. It really does intrigue me. Traded a shit ton of steel to Germany. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that they also gave like guns and volunteers to Finland, so they were like fucking double dealing. Down those Swedes. The fastest things on Earth: cheetah, airplane, speed of light, Mongol invasion. I don't get this. I know it's the classic like Africa fit, everything fits inside Africa meme, but the Mongol invasion, was it really fast? How long did it take Genghis Khan to make his empire? It's Genghis Khan, isn't it? I need to say Genghis Khan from now on. Genghis Khan. He died between the ages of 65 and 72. What an interesting range of ages. So it's the question is, when did he unify the tribes? His sole ruler of the plains in 1206, and he died in 1227. So 21 years it took him to form the first empire. His brother was Chungus Khan? Genghis and Chungus. And it wasn't the full extent of the empire that he made, was it? It was his brother that kind of like extended it further, wasn't it? Genghis Khan. Wow, look at those borders. Everyone in the EU for upset. I don't usually click links in the chat, but we'll click it for an exception.
Throughout the Second World War in Europe, there were many...
Oh, we'll watch this. Okay, let's go through the rest of the memes. What's this? This was nice. We should have dinner again sometime. Smooch. I have dinner every night, dumbass. Got him. We have a meme with nothing. How to settle a divorce. Google. Bing. I don't get this. I don't get it. Am I being dumb? What's this about? Someone explain. Oh, never mind. The moment's passed. I keep seeing this quite often, you know. It's like a Civilization meme. I don't get it. Bing the shitty browser. I thought Bing was a search engine. Oh, right. The search results are bad. Oh. Anyway. I just want to say for the record, I thought Ultron was a horrendously bad villain in the Marvel movies, okay? So if anyone actually who enjoyed Ultron, I pity you. But I think there's an interesting point here, the fact that he connected to the internet, he plugged in, and he was like, humans deserve to die. He was surfing on 4chan for like a day, and he's like, that's it. Humanity has to die. I'll admit the tune's quite catchy. Oh, we're back to where we were now. Yeah, this is where we were yesterday. Oh, there we go. We learned lots of new things today. Anyway, let's watch the video about why didn't Sweden join World War II?
Neutral nations who, despite their government's intentions, were unable to stay so. While some like Finland were able to resist, others like Sweden managed to avoid fighting. Given Sweden's immense natural resources, notably iron, it's even more surprising that it was left alone when the powers around it were fighting for their continued existence. Not only that, but Sweden would have been a valuable ally to whichever side it joined, which raises the question, why didn't Sweden join World War II and how did it manage to maintain its neutrality and deter aggressors? So, when the war broke out, Sweden declared itself to be a non-belligerent nation. This shouldn't be surprising since Sweden had been a neutral nation since after the Napoleonic Wars. This was mostly because it was forced to hand over Swedish Pomerania to Prussia and thus had nothing binding them to mainland continental politics. Thus, by 1939, Sweden had over a century of neutral foreign policy stances behind it. It was governed at this point by Per Albin Hansson, who was doing everything in his power to keep fascist or communist sympathisers away from power. His government was a coalition of four major parties, and their foreign policy goals at first were simply don't get involved in the war. Yet, as many of you will be aware, the war soon came to its neighbours. Finland fought the Winter War against the USSR, and in 1940 both Denmark and Norway were conquered by Germany. For the Finnish-Soviet War, the Swedish were sympathetic to Finland, and there were even some who called for Sweden to formally get involved. Hansson resisted, and so Sweden covertly gave money and weapons to the Finns, and roughly 12,000 Swedes crossed the border to help in non-combat roles. As for Denmark and Norway, Sweden wasn't willing to go to such lengths to help them resist Germany, and this was largely for economic reasons. Sweden exported masses of iron ore to Germany throughout the war, and given that everyone else had been conquered, there was no other customers. In case you're wondering, the reason why Germany kept buying the iron instead of simply conquering Sweden was that Hitler assumed that the Allies wouldn't bomb a neutral country. So the only reason that Sweden was able to stay neutral was that it made concessions to both sides. For example, when Germany conquered Norway, the Swedish government allowed German troops to travel through the country. They also allowed German troops to transit the country to Finland in 1941 when Germany invaded the Soviet Union. This actually led to what's called the Midsummer Crisis, where ministers panicked over what to do because they really didn't want to be seen aiding the Germans in their war with the USSR. In fact, Sweden's King Gustav V said that if the Germans weren't accommodated, then he personally would not be willing to bear the consequences. And so they allowed German troops to cross, and throughout the war over 2 million German soldiers did so. Of course, Sweden couldn't just give in to what the Germans wanted, since at that point they may as well have just been a member of the Axis. And as such, Sweden was sure to aid the Allies too. For example, it took thousands of Jewish refugees from Denmark and all over Europe, as well as giving refuge to socialists and political dissidents. And furthermore, Sweden also took to covertly training Norwegian troops in its territory. They were also active in conducting espionage against Germany and fed troop movements and industrial information to the British and the Americans. And in the end, Sweden's neutrality in the war carries a confusing legacy. Avoiding occupation and bombing was the priority for the government, and they did achieve that. They did so by facilitating German troop movements and providing it with valuable resources with which it could power its war machine. That said, what real choice did Sweden have? Denmark and Norway were conquered for reasons of strategy, and the Germans would have happily done the same to Sweden. And Sweden was sure to balance this with aiding the Allies and giving refuge to Europe's persecuted. In the end, Sweden stayed neutral by doing just enough to avoid the ire of both sides. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching.
So I suppose the big question is, like, how would a focus tree for Sweden actually work? That's the big question, isn't it? To me, from what I've just learned there, they were ally leaning, but they never wanted to really show that they were supporting either the Axis or the Comintern, because they neither wanted to side with neither of them. So the impression that I'm getting, it's kind of like, I wonder, this would be really cool. So the focus tree allows you to get non-aggression pacts with the Comintern and the Axis in exchange for trading away certain things. Like, for instance, pulling out of Finland, troops out of Finland, gets you a non-aggression pact with the Soviets, and giving steel to Germany gains you a non-aggression pact. Something like that, something. Yeah, kind of like the Netherlands, the cave to the sides. Yeah. All right, last clip.
Have a lot of things blocked on for the TTS there. Oh, who ruined Panza? All right, let me delete Panza. Come on, Panza, no. 7,000 max, guys. Ugh. All right. Panza, why Panza? I think first time.
I can't relate to this because I don't know the context. Anyway, I think we're done with now, aren't we? What we got?